tradition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say is even harder to find.
All right, all things real estate.
Yes.
Like Mark was saying, we are recording live from Double D's in Los Gatos.
Double D's.
We eat here all the time. Great food.
Just had lunch here today.
Dean and Darren are awesome owners, and we appreciate them letting us take over today. So a lot to talk about.
Yes.
I'm excited. I actually prepared. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but
Improv it, baby.
I have an idea for the podcast as well. We should share the date that we're recording it.
okay.
I love how you enunciate things. The date.
Great,
That's really cool.
great tonality.
Right? The date.
Well,
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
today is August 31st,
31st.
2023.
Hard to believe. September 1st. I never thought I'd be the old person that's like, wow, this year flew by.
But you did say there'd be 18.
Because you had a kid.
I know.
Yeah.
Now that you have a kid, dude, just wait.
Yeah. No, definitely. So here we are, last day in August.
Yep.
Getting ready to head in. It's pumpkin spice season now.
Pumpkin spice season.
Hey,
Your house is going to smell like
Oh
that.
man, for sure. So a lot of daughters, a lot of pumpkin spice flying around.
Kind of like those things we do when we do open houses, right? Put pumpkin spice and cookie.
You ever have a pumpkin spice latte, Mark?
I never have, dude. No.
We can DoorDash them one right now. All right, but anyway,
What's ringing?
Your head.
that's okay.
I told you, bring it on. Let's go.
All right, market stats, ready, go.
All right, so market stats, right? So what? Last 4 more months before the end of the year. You know, I know we say it over and over again, but inventory pretty anemic, right? 663 homes on the market as of today, August 31st, 2023. 561 pending. So just a little bit over a month's worth of inventory, and we've got about 183 homes coming soon.
I was just going to ask you that.
which is trending down a little bit.
It is, but it's still like Groundhog Day, right? I mean,
It
this has
is.
been the same numbers we've been talking about. I mean, Aaron, didn't you say we would be at 6?
I did. I talked to David about.
June?
I talked to David about that today
Yeah.
at lunch, and
Very
I
good.
think I said there's be 1,800,
Yeah, something like that.
and we are at
663 SFR.
So you can
Single
add,
family.
add the SFR, the condos, the pending.
So what is that all in?
And you might get to 1,800.
Maybe. So we are 663 single-family homes. We are 314 condos and townhomes for a total of 977
That's crazy.
properties on the market, which doesn't include mobile homes. But
I am selling a mobile home. This is a shout out to anyone who thinks that I'm too busy or that our team's too busy or the price point's too high, the price point's too low. We do it all.
Do it all.
yeah, no, absolutely. And the number of coming soon homes total are about 267. So it's trending down a little bit, which we would expect this time of the year. Yeah, school's back in session. We're starting to come up on the holiday season, that sort of thing.
Well, I think it goes back to the majority of these homes that are hitting the market are they're life event homes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're not. And that's why those numbers are staying that way. Who's going to give up those low interest rate loans and everything?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, the things that we always talk about is, okay, how do we create more inventory? How do we get people that actually want to sell? So I brought a couple of things to talk about today. The first one is a legislation that it's bipartisan. So it was authored by a Democrat and a Republican in California. It's called the More Homes on the Market Act.
Is that literally the
That is literally the name, More Homes on the Market Act.
Market Act.
But it's a bill to increase the capital gains deduction from $250,000 and $500,000 to $500,000 and $1 million.
So how is that going to? How does that impact the owner of that property where they're going to want to sell?
Yeah, great question. So, statistically speaking, for homeowners that purchase their home by or before the year 2000, okay, so that whole segment of homeowners. 95% of the homeowners that are single and 68% of the homeowners that are married, if they sold today under the current 250, 500, they would likely have a capital gains event.
Right.
So this creates a lot of opportunity for people to sell. And think about, elderly population, right? The baby boomers that are sitting on a lot of equity that don't want that big tax bill. So that getting doubled from $500,000 to $1 million, not only can they now get another $500,000 tax free, but they can transfer their property tax base to anywhere in California, which we talked about on the last podcast.
3 times.
3 times we talked about it. It's important stuff. But
I did have a question.
go
about
ahead.
that. So somebody that moves from San Jose to Florida for 2 weeks, no, 2 months, let's say, decides that they hate it. can they move back and take advantage of the property tax?
I think it's up
What's
to
your question? Like if they sold their house?
They sold their
capital
house.
gains
they're
or
over
the
50
property tax base.
The property tax
If
basis.
they're over 55, they have 2 years to
Yeah.
reinvest. So they can move anywhere they want for 2 years, as long as within 2 years, they purchase another property.
So you can move
within
and
the
come
state.
back within 2 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
And use it up to 3 times.
Sure.
That's a pretty good rule.
Yep. So that's one of the things that our legislature is looking to do to increase the amount of inventory on homes. I think it'll help. I don't think it's going to be there's no single answer to the
No,
solution.
I mean,
right?
it just goes back to a lot of the individuals there. I mean, we have people. I just talked to a client yesterday. She paid $75,000 for their house back in like 1982 or
Yeah.
79 or something, and now the house is worth $2.5 million. And that issue came up, right? It's okay. It was her husband passed away. It's a little bit of a stepped up basis on it, but if she sells, in her case, she's only going to get the $250. Or do you get $500 if your spouse dies? Come on.
I think there's
Stump the panel.
I think you stumped the broker. I think there's a time limit on that too.
So here was the issue though, because the gain far exceeded even the $1 million. Because the question becomes: Are we going to advise our clients to wait? Because this is probably not going to go through until the first of the year. So if somebody needs to sell now.
Right.
I'm out. I have no comment.
Well, but let me tell you the gotcha, right? So automatically, you might think on one hand we should tell people to wait, but keep in mind this is a state bill,
Right.
not federal.
Correct.
Right. So although you'll get that benefit for your state taxes, doesn't mean you're going to get it for federal, right? So cap gains, you have state and federal taxes that you pay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Right?
I'm following you.
So it's a state law, not a federal law. So it means you may still have to pay capital gains to the IRS, just not the state of
It's
California.
always funny about these live episodes because I'm sitting here, either there's too much smoke up there in the air or my head's up in the clouds because I'm sitting there going, well, wait a minute, isn't that a federal change that they're talking about doing, or is it just state?
They're changing this. This is
I
a
think it's-
state.
I thought it was
bill.
federal.
I think it's Fed. Oh, Google.
All right.
Because-
Let's Google.
All right. Well, while you're Googling it, I'm going to talk a little bit more about ways that we can increase housing in our marketplace. And so, City of San Jose. So the state of California, not too long ago, sent out a mandate to every city throughout the state and said, you need to give us a plan for the next 10 years on the number of housing units you're going to increase for your city. Could be combination rental and homes for sale. There has to be a percentage of affordability. So City of San Jose has a plan to add over 62,000 housing units over the next 10 years. I think that's pretty aggressive, and I'm not sure how they're going to do it. No. And half of those, and they've earmarked about half of those to be affordable. So the first question is, where are you going to put them all?
Right.
Great America.
Yeah, right. But they are looking at North San Jose, and they are looking at parts of West San Jose as well.
West San Jose.
West. Good luck.
That's probably
finding-
the most desirable part of San Jose right now because of the schools.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to be high density housing. I think it's going to be a mix of condo, townhome, apartments.
Well, they were able to squeeze way more condos than I thought they would be able to. Right when you're driving on 280, right across from Santana Road, there used to be the mobile home park. Mm-hmm. See how many condos they got up
yeah,
over
they're
there?
putting up a lot. Yeah, so 62,000 homes they're looking to add over the next 10 years. I think it's pretty aggressive. But here's the deal. If they don't, so they've submitted the plan to the state. State rejected the plan. They expected that. They have to make some corrections. If they don't get it approved, then the city loses funding for affordable housing, transportation, things like that.
I have a question.
Yeah, you going to sneeze? Live?
So while he's sneezing,
Yeah.
Wait, I'm going to forget my question. So to put into perspective,
I'm listening.
Go ahead.
62,000 homes. You once told us a stat about how many houses Santa Clara County had or San Jose had.
700,000.
So they have seven. So they're
700,000 housing units.
so 62,000
So about a 9% increase.
in
Dude.
10 years.
So just an interesting issue with that. We have a client who has a multi-residential property that was specifically developed to be potentially do a condo conversion on, right? That would convert those to individual parceled out, where somebody can buy them. That would add to
Right.
those units, right? However, there's also the issue with affordable housing. And what we have found in that situation, because you would think this would be a great opportunity to add units, where we say, where are they going to build them? Take apartment buildings, do condo conversions, right? That'll start adding those units to it. But then it's also taking away the affordable housing on those
On the rental
apartments,
side.
right? I bring this up because we're working on a project right now where it seemed like this would have been a perfect property to look at doing a condo conversion on that would have added to those units. But we're getting a lot of opposition from affordable housing issues with that.
Well, didn't they say like anytime you build now, there has to be a certain percentage that's deemed affordable?
If you're doing a larger development.
Can you
okay.
explain just quickly, like what affordable housing, like what is the true definition of that out here?
Well,
buy or to rent.
typically,
I don't think it exists out here.
And that's what I'm saying.
but
Like, what-
it's typically based on income limits, right? So usually it's what 125% of the median.
109 or
But
something.
more
109.
importantly, in that.
But is this the
maybe
same
affordable
program that
housing
they have to
isn't
go-
necessarily the issue, but you have these units where there's currently tenants in them, right? So to
Oh,
pull them
yeah,
away
you
from the
can't.
tenants, so it just makes it a little bit harder with those. So finish your question, because I did
Well-
find the answer to our earlier one about your.
Is that the same program where they go through the city, get on the waiting list?
There's a lot of different programs, right? There's not just like one affordable housing program that everybody has to funnel through and
Okay.
qualify.
You know, that is a great question, though, because I'm sitting here going, I don't have the answer to that. Because technically, to your point, affordable housing are programs under Section 8. There's a lot of programs that are doing that. But I don't think necessarily when we say affordable housing, we're talking about just that amount of properties within that portfolio or that category, right?
Correct.
I think affordable housing is going to be, can a teacher or can a law enforcement person afford that property?
Right, and remember when I say they want to add 62,000 housing, it's not just housing for sale. So that includes apartments for rent and those types of things as well. So basically, housing units, and that can consist of an apartment for rent, a condo for sale, single family home,
So
any mixture.
I'll tell you, that's why a lot of the cities now are increasing the ability to go up, because they can build up, right? They can go
300
400
feet.
units on a half an acre. Just going straight up, underground parking, done.
But the parking is so limited, and what the city council has put forward with the lack of parking spaces is crazy.
Right.
It's something like for every 5 condos, there's only 1 parking space. And San Jose has the worst city transit.
Well, yeah, and then you got a guy like Aaron that has 5 cars for only one person. So
Well, we know people watch these now, so I
need
only have
7, 1 for
3
each.
cars, and one of them is Sarah's.
Okay.
So this
Federal
is
or
a little challenging.
state?
Yeah.
It's only state.
so I was
but-
right.
Okay, but that's really not as exciting as you would think, because
What's not exciting? I missed
Well,
it.
Our podcast.
no, the exclusion, right? If it's being increased from 250 500,000, that's the that just means that California is not going to tax them on their portion. But let's face it, when you look at it's 25 to 35% currently for federal capital gain tax. Right. That's the majority of what somebody's going to get hit with, right? And if that's not being impacted, then we're just talking the 8 to 13.7% in California
Right.
that won't impact it. So
Well, the good news is next year's an election year. And I do believe this will become a topic that gets talked about, because originally this was a problem for East Coast, West Coast.
Yep, California, New York.
of course,
Right?
coastal
Which were typically blue states. But what we found is because of home appreciation prices nationwide,
Yep.
Midwest is being affected by this too,
Absolutely.
right? So that's why I think over time
this
we're
is
going
the start. It's a
this is
stepping
the-
stone to hit the
exactly
federal level.
right. And we also
Great
know
point,
that
David. That's what you
for
really
all
just
the bad that we can talk about California, one of the good is they typically enact legislation before most of the rest of the United States. So it's trial and error here. They see that it works, and then it tends to spread across the rest of the United States.
Yeah, the 250 500 rule or the law was implemented so long ago when the housing prices were so low.
Yes.
Now that it's
1991 it was created?
1992.
92.
Right.
Damn,
Before-
I almost
so,
said it.
so before most of you guys
Before we were born.
Yeah, right.
just real quick, a side note to that bill, it also builds in inflation.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah,
so-
which has never been done. To Jeet's point.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
what was
ha-
the house in 1992?
Yeah.
Exactly.
120 grand probably.
Exactly.
So the thought of making $500,000 in equity
Actually,
was
my
like,
first house was 275 in '94. So
well, I was like Los Gatos or something. So
it was Scotts Valley, dude. What the hell?
all right, well, back then we couldn't all afford $282,000 house.
All relative.
These guys weren't even born.
Your wife is here.
Hey, Amber's in the house.
Amber. Oh yeah, we got guests coming in.
We're gonna get her on the hot seat here in a
I
little,
can't
in a little
see.
while.
My back's to the door. Somebody could come in with a gun and shoot me. And I don't see it coming.
That's not appropriate.
That actually, Dee Dee specifically asked for you to sit there.
that what it is?
So
So speaking of not appropriate,
Okay.
okay.
our podcast.
No, I'm going to bring this up because I believe
Jacob's sweating over here.
I believe what we bring to the table is truly a public service, right? I mean, it is. I mean, we educate our clients, we educate people about the real estate industry. One of the things that I'm very proud of is how we talk about as we're in the trenches every day. You can go read your headlines, you can go watch Google and stuff, but the majority of that information is old, it's dated. It's going to be a quarter out, several months out before they start reporting on it. What we report on are what we're doing on a daily
Day
basis.
in and day out,
right?
yeah.
I like to say a pulse on the market.
A pulse in the market. I
You can
love
say that, G.
I love that. So what I'd like for people
Well said, G.
to understand when they listen to our podcast, try to articulate this the best way, which won't get us into trouble again. You know, when
Yeah.
we make comments about what a house sold for 4 years ago, and we talk about what we just experienced on that same house 4 years later, and we had 14 offers on it, and the market is jacking up the price,
Yeah.
right? It's not us setting that price.
Right.
It's the market that's doing it, and we're just providing the information.
Well, and that's a really good point, and I think I'll add too, because our podcast is typically 20, 30 minutes.
Right.
There's always going to be information that's left out. There's a lot of context sometimes
100%.
when we're comparing one house to a next, right? Like the house that sold, before we sold ours might have had a power pole behind it, or maybe there are things about the transaction or the property that sometimes we just don't get a chance to talk about because we only have limited time.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
so we have some people that may take something out of context.
But it's all context based, right? If you have a question, something doesn't sound right, feel free to ask.
Yeah, anything we talk about in the podcast, we can
it does
expand
go both
on.
ways, right? I mean, you
course.
could absolutely
Just
reach
like
out
if
to
I
us
saw
and ask
something
us
that
any
didn't
questions.
seem accurate, you question it. And then you Google it or you do something.
Yeah, or like Jeet, he'll ask all four of us the same question.
Absolutely.
And then just pick the answer he likes best.
I don't
like
know if
to
I
get
got the
everyone's
point of
opinion.
my issue there.
The point is, don't
but-
shoot the messenger,
What? Thank you.
Thank you.
Done.
right?
Wow, that's all I could have to
But somehow I got shot.
Don't sue the messenger. Don't sue the messenger would probably be better, right? But we'll leave it there. But yeah, I mean, to Mark's point, we're fortunate that we do a large number of transactions. We're in the trenches. We have our finger on the pulse, or at least Jeet does. And, so what we're talking about is happening in real time.
100%.
And we don't lie.
No.
That is one thing
Just
we
wanted to
don't
share
do.
that.
We're as transparent gets.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. So back to housing.
What?
Not a lot of inventory.
Power lines.
No power lines.
So I really wanted to tear into that subject.
Yeah.
Real.
Let's talk a little bit about affordability, right? Because
I just got a cancellation notice, by the way.
that's fine. We can talk about that next. But what I want to talk about now,
With the demand to release deposit.
go ahead. It's
Sorry, I just.
I'll stop. Go ahead.
I mean, it really did throw
we're
me.
not live or anything, so it's okay.
It threw me for a loop.
All right. Housing affordability.
All right, so here's what happened.
Yeah.
We talked about a transaction, and Aaron. No, I'm going to say it. I'm not. Listen, I'm cool. I've been a broker for 30 years. I don't know if I can get sued or not. You can sue me for anything you want, but it's real. It's don't shoot the messenger, right? We had a property that had 14 offers on the damn thing, right? 14 offers on it. That pretty much levels out the market and what happens to that property. We're not the ones buying this property. We're the ones that are putting it out there for the market to see, and we're just there to ensure for our clients as a seller getting the top dollar that we can based off of the market, based off the activity that we get, right? And in this situation, we talked about that property, and we had
We did not disclose the address to the
we
property.
didn't disclose the address. We talked about how that property would have been about $500,000 less 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And the buyer reached out to us. The buyer reached out to us,
Who we were not representing.
who we did not represent, and basically said, we heard your podcast. We overpaid for that property. And it wasn't that we weren't going to buy it anymore. It was that
They
we're
wanted
going to
what?
threaten to.
$150,000 price reduction?
Something like that.
Something like that.
And they want to sue me
Yeah.
because I conned them.
Yes. And that's where I say BS. 14 offers on that property. It was activity. We're not forcing anybody to do anything. That buyer came in, they saw the activity, they loved the house, they wrote an offer on it, which, by the way, appraised for the price that they freaking...
Which is a neutral value.
Definitely. So, enough said. Don't shoot the messenger.
But as a great real estate agent, I have a fantastic backup offer, so my clients will be in a great position to continue
go.
moving forward.
And
And thanks for watching.
good luck to that buyer to go...
Find a new house.
Go find a new house.
We wish them nothing but the best.
Which brings me
100%.
back to the limited inventory on the market.
Okay. I got it out of my system, so go for it. Good job, Aaron.
And affordability, right? We know mortgage interest rates are extremely high right now, especially relative to the price of houses. There are some great loan programs out there like FHA where you can get in for 3.5% down.
Yes.
But banks and people are always looking for creative ways to get more buyers into the market.
Right.
So Zillow
Yes.
last week came out with a 1% down loan program.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't heard about
they're
this?
underwriting it? I don't work with buyers. You guys do.
Zillow Mortgage, which is a company.
Shut the F up.
Zillow
Yeah.
Mortgage is going to offer 1% down mortgages.
Up to how much?
But they're not going to be government backed. I mean,
This is David. Tell them that's the line. This
Well-
is the same company that.
That lost 280 million in Zillow offers.
here they go. They're just
Right?
running.
And we
running.
know because we
Disclaimer: we do support Zillow and we do like Zillow.
do.
We don't want Redfin calling us. Oh,
All right. And
Here's another story.
yeah, so Zillow is a great real estate portal for a lot of reasons. They attract a lot of eyeballs. They did shut down their Zillow offers program. They lost a lot of money on that. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
They lost a lot of money on that.
Unreal.
And now they're going to give out loans with only 1% down. And you and I know, Mark, because we've been doing this for a while. What can go wrong when you
know
have
what?
people with no skin in the game?
I would pat Zillow on the back for thanking for offering up a service that allows individuals to be able to purchase those loans with low cost. Great for Zillow.
That is a nice.
I mean, it's cool.
Absolutely.
I just think it's super risky. Why would you not just walk
Oh,
away?
I think Zillow's doing a smart move. And listen, they're helping out buyers.
They're probably basing it off their estimate.
if you bought a
great.
$2 million house at 1%, your payment is like $40,000.
But you only need 1% to get into it.
Okay, well, actually, I don't like it anymore. I'm out.
Well, that's the thing, right? We all know that when you have minimal down payment,
Yeah.
minimal skin in the game, it's a lot easier
Okay,
to walk
but-
away if you lose your job or something
But
happens.
you're looking at $2 million houses, right? What about in Texas, or what about in Ohio? Where you
I
get a
think it
house for
applies more
180?
nationwide
Sure.
than it especially helps millennials, I would say.
I will tell you this: Zillow, in their defense, is starting this program in Arizona.
Oh, it's not nationwide yet.
So they're starting in Arizona. They're going to see how it goes. And yeah, so again, hats off to them.
How do you think it's going to go?
I think that,
Like, honestly.
yeah, no, honestly, I think our problem isn't down payment in our country. Our problem is
Affordability.
monthly payment.
Yeah, it's the affordability of it.
But I think down payment's the hardest part here for a lot of younger buyers.
well, that's exactly what it is.
But it's backwards from the rest of the
How
nation.
though? When you can get in for 3 to
Well, I
5%
mean,
down.
your clients, our friends make $200,000 a year, combine maybe 300, 400. But the hardest part is stacking enough cash to put 10, 15, 20% down.
So you're telling me,
But
that-
like you said, even though they can put down 5%, it's still that monthly payment that's going to hit them,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a lot bigger.
See, here,
Well, yeah, but if they could put 20% down the month.
But that's
I
what I'm
see what
saying.
you're saying.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
the biggest
Yeah.
issue is if you put 1% down, the deposit itself is 3%. That means your offer is going to be the lowest.
But it's not like that everywhere.
Well, but again,
Right.
I think we're looking at a solution across the nation.
Yeah,
Right. So
it is.
again,
It's
if
cool.
you're going to a house that's $200,000, what's the monthly payment on that? It's about $1,500
budget
a month.
What did you just say?
A $200,000 house is going to do what type of pay? If you have a $200,000 loan, what's the payment on a $200,000 loan? Approximately $1,500 a
yeah,
month.
say about
Right?
$1,500 a month.
So in those areas,
$2,000
you're probably going to pay $1,500 for rent. So in those areas, it kind of makes sense, right? They can afford the monthly on it. They only have to put 1% down,
Yeah.
and there's a loan that allows them.
All right, I like it.
I do too. I love Zillow. They're
I
great.
love Zillow and Redfin.
all right.
It's
I just wish I could run my company like that. At a $2 million loss.
but
every year.
to bring up a point that David just mentioned and Aaron about like how do you afford buying out here, whether it's the monthly payment you have to think about or the down payment you have to think about. I know Aaron and G can, we're all saying the same thing to our buyers. We try and figure out what they're comfortable paying per month, and then we start to work backwards. Whether that means we need to relocate and find a different price point, or we need to find out how much extra money we need to put down to make that happen.
Right.
So again, don't just jump in or think you can't jump into this market because you don't have the amount of money you need to put down. Let's start with what you want to pay per month, what you're comfortable with,
Right.
and then let's talk about what we need to do to get there.
Well, again, I think that goes back to our team, right? We have so many resources and options for our clients when they come in here to put them into these properties. I was talking to a mortgage broker yesterday where it's, you can actually still get mortgages for 5.25%. Right now, that might be on a 5-year or 7-year type of an arm.
Right.
But the odds are by the time we get to 5 years or so, there'll be an opportunity to refi. I don't think we're ever going to see the 2.5, 2.75. But I think
It's so crazy how normalized that was to me. I mean, I had never been through the crazy interest rate hike that you guys went through, but like 2.5%, 3%, I saw it all day.
I mean, here's what's crazy. You want to put that in perspective. My first house, we were excited that we got a 7.5 interest rate on it. Well, our parents were excited when they got a 12% interest rate on their house.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we talked about this when you weren't here one of the days, and we actually blamed the two dads. Well, there's 3 dads here now, but you, because when you were buying a house, if you made $100,000 and your housing price was $500,000, right? Like the discrepancy, and now our salaries are $200,000, let's say, and the housing prices are $2 million.
Yeah,
I will say,
incomes have not
It didn't-
increased based on the
Crazy.
rate of inflation
I
of
feel
everything else.
very
Yeah.
bad for the young buyers that are coming out here, college educated. They both have 2 jobs. They're busting their ass in their careers. They're making $350,000, and we're showing them, a 1,500 square foot property, ranch style, built in 1968 in Cambrian that's going for $2.2 million.
Why
But,
did you
but
let
again,
that
you have
happen?
to. But you have to have backing to that when you look at this. We're not
How
showing.
did it happen?
It's just crazy. We're beautiful quality of life.
Quality of life.
But when people see the homes that we post on our Instagrams and everything and social media, you have to again think about the backing of those posts. It's not all of them are first-time home buyers getting into this market. These are people who've already owned homes and are buying their second
The
home.
key was getting in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And we don't show, and maybe we don't show enough of the smaller starter homes that people getting in and the condos and stuff.
We're
But
gonna
they're
do a whole marketing thing on Aaron's mobile home, and we'll talk about affordability.
$200,000 for that, right? And it's 1,500 square feet.
210, thank you.
Okay, and it's
she bought it less than 5 years ago for 150. Even mobile homes have appreciated.
Which is surprising because mobile homes, I mean, that
Generally
is-
speaking, are a depreciating asset.
But then again, what's the monthly payment on that?
Space
the
rent's
rent.
$1,000.
Okay.
again, yeah, I mean,
It's also a 55 and older complex.
Yeah.
which works for.
But in prime Willow Glen, I would say.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just off Almaden.
I think I might be buying that for my mom. Hey, Mom, you might be moving back from Alabama.
Hey, Mom, come
in.
on back.
yeah, right.
And you can bring your boyfriend too. It's okay. Hey, Wayne.
So on a serious note, I'll let you girls get all your giggles out. But on a serious,
Are we here at Double D's? This is the place where we have fun. Come on.
I know Mark's the only one drinking alcohol.
Really, Mr. Long Island?
It's an Arnold Palmer.
Oh, you.
But once we get off the podcast, then we'll celebrate. No, but on a serious note,
Yes.
Mark, I know you mentioned this to me. You wanted to talk about this on the podcast, which was Maui.
yeah.
And I want to share a little bit of information about that. One, my sister lives on Maui, so I mean, I get kind of information daily, and it's really bad out there. And so, a couple of things. So far, they've got 115 identified dead.
Right.
There's still, more than that missing.
Yep.
But from a just basic shelter perspective, over 2,200 structures were destroyed. About 86% of those were actual houses, apartments, duplexes, which is about 1,900 units. That those families in those units no longer have a place they can call home. And if the average home has 4 people in it, I mean, you're looking at 8,000 to 10,000 people that have been displaced by the fire.
Well, and let's look at Maui isn't a cheap place to live.
No.
Right? And in that area of Lahaina had some of the most affordable housing and everything available because all the apartments and everything they had there for the locals. And the human sacrifice down there has been brutal.
Super sad.
But how many of us this impacts everybody across the world. Everybody goes to Maui, right? And to see that area totally decimated.
So much history.
It is, right? And I really want to reach out to our listeners and ourselves that anything you can do, if somebody has a condo down there, offer it up for housing. I mean, it's something that's in brutal need.
Yeah.
Our company has donated money to them and stuff, and it's Maui, man.
Yeah. My best friend Brian moved there with his wife McKenna, and he said it literally looks like a war zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bomb went off.
And I think the brutal thing to it is our wonderful industry is jumping on this like crazy.
So many scams.
Yeah.
Super
well,
sad.
so I read something.
Wait, what were you gonna say?
I don't think David was done yet.
Well, it's okay. Just the one thing I want to add, because you bring up a good point, is like if there's anything you can do, do it, right? And so, I researched a lot of the various organizations where you can donate money. And one of the ones that actually got announced today, in my personal opinion, makes the most sense. And Oprah Winfrey and The Rock, right, came out today, and they launched the People's Fund of Maui.
Awesome.
And they kicked it off, I think, with $10 million of their own money, and then they put the link out to donate. The reason why I like this is because basically any resident of Maui that is over the age of 18 years old that was affected by the fires is eligible to get $1,200 a month for at least the next 6 months. And the reality is, when you're in that situation, you don't need other organizations telling you, what you can have and how to allocate your money. You put that money in the hands of the people that are there on the ground, and they know what's best for their families and what they need.
Yeah. Yeah, even that little bit helps. It really does.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Oprah has a house there, and it somehow didn't get burnt.
Well, she's got like thousands of acres.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. But anyway, Ben, you're gonna say?
Well, I read some interesting.
That was
Geez, that
hello.
was loud as hell. My bad. I read something that they're sticking a moratorium on the properties out there that were burnt down. And again, tell me what your thoughts are on this. But they're saying that the government's going to buy them, so they can't start selling them off to investors.
I think they should stay the locals down there. I don't think we should have stateside individuals going and
Absolutely
purchasing. I
not.
think
Yeah,
they
there should be a
definitely
moratorium on foreclosures because people
Yeah,
aren't going to be able to pay
100%.
mortgages, and probably a moratorium on title transfers for the time being, and so that way people
I
don't
mean,
get taken advantage.
I think
Yeah.
the only, if you want to say benefit for the fires that California experienced and the ones that we've had over the years is that, people have learned and the governments have learned on really how can they provide assistance quickly, cut through
Right.
the red tape.
Yeah.
What I love about, I heard that same program today, is that it's like there's no admin money coming out of it. All the money
Exactly.
that's donated is going directly
Yeah, there's a council that's advising on it. They're making sure it gets dispersed. So shout out to my sister Danae out there in Maui. Love you, and she's out there doing it and helping her people. So I love it.
Awesome. Benny, did you have
Aloha.
to talk?
That was casual.
Do you like that?
With your little Hawaiian Tommy Bahama.
That's
That was
why
nice.
home away from home, man.
That was good.
Let's not make light.
Did
of
I,
the
I talked. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I did.
I'm sorry.
I've been chatting in. Yeah. Come on.
All right. Well, that was the 6 topics that I brought. So
I want to know, because, we got some time here.
Yeah,
right? I want
absolutely.
to get a little bit more personal here.
Yeah.
What got everybody here in real estate? Why did you want to get into this crazy anxiety-ridden business? Jeet, you go first.
I was getting out of college and really looking at what kind of careers I wanted to get into. I had a couple of options on my mind, but real estate really stuck out.
What were the other options you were looking at?
Investment banking.
Okay.
Yeah, but I wanted to, I had a passion for talking to people one-on-one,
Yeah.
helping them, marketing, investment decisions, and then I loved looking at houses, especially the ones out here, like some fantastic multi-million-dollar properties. And I don't think I would be a agent anywhere else in the country.
We all
but
say that.
Not New York.
Not Ohio? Come on, man. Yeah, New York, that might be coming up on that agenda soon.
Yeah.
And how old are you, Jeet?
I'm
VKGRE.
24.
24 years old, and the passion this guy has for the industry blows me away. I can remember when David said, he's like, hey, I met this kid in the office. He's Jeet. I'm gonna try him out for a little bit. And I went by, you were in the cubicle, and I was like, who is this kid?
I didn't talk to him.
Did you talk to him?
No, hell no. I didn't talk to him for 30 days.
You gotta earn your stripes on this team.
He just sat there and made his calls. I was like, all right, bring him in.
But I gotta say, I think he's like number 3 on this team, and there's 4 on this team.
Beating Ben.
No.
I will say this about Jeet, is that it's very rare that somebody comes out of college and wants to get right into real estate sales.
Yeah.
Right. So the fact that was your focus and intention, I think, speaks to how well you're doing now.
Absolutely.
Right. Most people kind of try other things and fall into or end up in real estate sales.
Well, that's true, and I love what he says with his background, because you can apply that background, investment banking or anything, to the financial conversation you can have with your clients and everything too. So
That's
awesome.
what I think. Majority of our clients are engineers, and
Yeah.
they're numbers-driven people, and I'm really good with numbers, and that's what they kind of
Gravitate
connect
towards?
Yeah, gravitate
Awesome.
towards. I remember one of my first classes at the office. You walked in, or you were just passing by. You came in, and you were like, there were so many people in there, and you said, if you really want to succeed in this business, burn all the ships, right? Like
Yeah,
just
that's right.
burn all the ships and go
Move
in
forward.
with 2 feet. And I was like, that's what kind of resonated. with me.
Burn the ships.
Burn the. You
Burn the
didn't hear
ships.
that, man. So burn the ships at the shore. So now you're gonna make me remember this. My mind's not working too well today. But back in the ancient times, there was a battle, and they brought the ships over so they could not retreat. They burned the ships.
How the hell does Jeet know about this?
Because
I told him. He just told you how he knew about it.
Oh, you told the story
I
before.
told the story. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was ancient times.
Well, thank God for
and
the ships being burned.
It's
You're
like
doing great.
It's like burning a bridge, right? You can't go back.
You can't go back, man. How many people in our industry, they have a fallback career? How many times you talk to an agent, oh, if I don't make it this year, I'm going to go back to my career at Walmart.
Or Uber
It's
driving.
Yeah. BS, man. Get your moving forward. Do not turn backwards.
Hell yeah.
Burn those shit.
Nothing wrong with working at Walmart.
Look where he's at today.
Mark, is
He's
there
not one of the
anything
number
wrong
one
with
real-
working at Walmart?
Absolutely not. I love Walmart.
Exactly.
Totally. Walmart and Zillow, my favorite two.
Actually, Walmart might. Walmart
actually-
might be our sponsor next week.
I actually did work at Walmart for
There you go.
a couple months.
Heck yeah! How old were you?
I was 20.
Was the Walmart in Dubai or London?
Walmart's The Walmarts I know are only in U.S. So.
That's not true. I'm going to Costa Rica, and there's actually a Walmart by the airport. That's where you have to go shopping.
All right, good stuff.
How did you get into real estate?
David,
Me? How'd I get into real estate?
How and why?
You want the smart answer, or you want like the real
I mean, it's
answer?
Mark's question, so I don't really care.
Okay. No, I.
That's rude.
Well,
dude.
then I'll
That's
give you
what
the smart
talk
answer.
about.
Well, I figured if I worked really hard in real estate and opened up my own company, someday I might meet my future wife there. So.
Oh, dude, is she in the audience? All those people. Oh, look at that.
Is that how it happened? Was it love at first sight?
That's pretty. That's a separate podcast.
All right.
I always look at anybody.
Amber, was it love at first sight? She said for him.
That's okay, because we're gonna get you in this chair here in a couple minutes. Get the headphones on you.
All right, tell us seriously.
Seriously, though.
Seriously, I had a cousin-in-law who was in the title and escrow business.
Yep.
And we were pretty close. And she said, I think you'd be really good at real estate. You should try it out. I want you to meet this broker. His name was Dennis Steinbach. And so I met him at the time. They were doing real estate and mortgage. Remember back then it was a lot easier to do. Back in 2001, 2002.
As long as it was Century's 21 Sukasa.
No. But I met with him, and I just saw it as a great way, one, to have a ton of income potential, but two, kind of flexibility, right? I've always kind of been an entrepreneur in spirit, and it was a great way to not have to do a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
So I was one of the ones that had a fallback job. I did real estate in mortgage lending part-time, and then just got so busy in the real estate side.
What was your job?
I was a product manager. So I ran groups of engineers for a startup in San Jose.
Very cool.
And it wasn't a bad job. It was a .com days.
I would assume that's logistics, organization that you were able to apply in real estate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And really, just like we work with our vendors and different, sources to get stuff done and that whole team concept. So I was able to
you started in 01?
2.
02, wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
02.
Ben, what about you?
I got into real estate. It was my junior year in high school when we were doing our project for the future, and I said real estate agent. So I feel like for a while I've always had the aspiration and goal of becoming a real estate agent.
I don't know any kid that most of us like, I want to be a police officer, fireman. I want to be a real estate agent.
I did.
And no one in your family was a real estate agent.
No, I always had a passion and a want to, create other people's goals a reality. And I feel like being able to go home after a vacation or being able to celebrate a holiday with your family at your own home is truly a special thing for people to kind of need and have in their life. So went to college, worked for a couple startup companies out there, moved to China, did interior design.
Slow down for a second. So you moved to China.
Moved to China. Not as long as Jeet lived in other countries. Jeet is definitely culturally
But
diverse.
just make that decision to go
To China. And how old were you and how long did you stay there?
I was there for a month and a half. I was 19 years old or almost 20. But I felt at the time, when I went to college, I knew going into real estate and working out here in the Silicon Valley, I wanted to study international management because I wanted to have the ideology and background and, like Jeet said, the numbers of what we can expect here.
Some pedigrees there.
And then I thought to get diverse and just kind of take a leap and test. I'm a big person of keeping my friends and families close. So like for me to go out to do something like that, I think that kind of gave me the ability in my head to jump into an ocean like this and the confidence to try and something.
I always tell the story, Ben, about you, especially when we were training new agents and stuff, man. I mean, you came to us and we had a job opening at KW as a front desk.
Director of First Impressions. Is that what it's called?
Dofi. And you were a host at a local restaurant.
Yep.
Right?
Which one?
Shout out to Opa.
There you go. Angelo. And I can remember I interviewed you, and I'm looking at your resume. I think they might have already interviewed you, and they were like, hey, we got this great kid who wants to come in. I think you were, 21, 22 at the time? And I looked at your resume. I'm like, this kid is so overqualified for this position. You got to be kidding me. And I asked you, I called you and I was like, I asked you, why would you take this role? And you said, listen, I've heard a lot about this company. I want to learn everything there is to know about real estate from the ground up. And you jumped into that seat. And I think within 2 years, you were your own individual agent. You wanted to come on our team, and we kept kind of, pushing you off a little bit. You continue to prove yourself, and I'm really proud to see you're the type of guy, and Jeet as well, to see how you guys grow. Well, you already grew, dude. Although you
real.
What kind of joke was that? He already grew.
I'm taking a
Still
Ozempic.
growing.
No, but I'll tell you, man. I mean, to see, and that's why you guys are on our team, right? We saw and see something in you guys, and that maturity and that growth and that drive and passion you guys have is
Hell yeah.
awesome.
You guys are
So
great.
thank you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right.
I love you.
Aaron.
I love you. I love you.
Go ahead,
I love you.
Exempic.
Aaron.
Tell us.
I'd be honored to
Was it
tell you.
Uncle Dave
Yeah.
Clark that invited you to go into real estate? Is that how it started?
Why don't you let Aaron tell his story?
Why don't you tell that story?
Go ahead. I'll let you.
Yeah, sip your drink.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Tell us,
I'll
Aaron.
And
tell
we're
you.
live.
It's not a very interesting story.
I think it's interesting because you're a bad too.
Okay.
I got a great story to tell about you too.
So, it's probably a Sunday night. No, it's a Wednesday night. At the time, my cousin was living with us. He started a printing business in San Jose, and I had just started at De Anza College, and I was very behind in school. I didn't partake, but I went to college because he didn't know what else to do.
Sure.
We're eating chicken Alfredo from Costco, and my cousin, who had done real estate in Washington, had said, "I think you should go into real estate." And I said, "Mom, what do you think about that?" And I said, "Dad, what do you think about that?" Like, well, do you want to? I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And at the time, I was working at Men's Warehouse, and I was selling between $300,000 and $500,000 of suits per year. So
Wow.
I knew about sales and I knew how to sell things. And I jumped into Chamberlain Real Estate School at 19 years old and got my license by the time I was 20 and started at Olan Pinnell with Carol Burnett. Didn't sell anything in
Shout out to Carol. She's
eight-
awesome.
18 months. I didn't have any sales. I was introduced to Shannon Rose and Dan Sullivan at the time. They're at Keller Williams Cupertino. They took me on as the first
They're in
team.
our office now.
And yeah, I had my first sale 18 months later.
That's
Good
awesome.
stuff. Any regrets?
Any regrets?
No regrets.
He has a regret now.
No
What?
regrets.
Nice.
No regrets.
Mark, let's hear.
Mark.
Let's
Let's hear your story.
Well, mine's pretty simple. I mean, I've always had my own businesses and everything. And when my wife and I, Diana, who I think is there somewhere in the crowd, we decided to come up to Northern California, and we were looking for a house at the same time. I had sold I had sold my business at that time, had some residual income coming in. We were looking at everything from restaurants to car sales and all that. And as we were looking for our house, I think we went through 6 agents. And we thought, well, we knew what we wanted. We wanted Los Gatos, right? And yet they're showing us, and we tell them we want something light, bright, beautiful. Yeah. And they're showing us these dank condos and stuff. And we're like, why are they not listening to us or what? We literally went through like 6 real estate agents, right? And what I realized was not one person sat us down to say, guys, here's the reality of the situation. Like we always do, right? We either buy our consultation.
You can't afford what you want.
Exactly. And at the same time, as I was looking for a new career to get into, I was introduced to a gentleman named Greg Macris. He was with Contemporary Realty. And when I sold my business, I had 40 employees. I kind of got burnt out a little bit about having employees. Met with them. And
What were you doing?
I had a asset liquidation business in Southern California. Biggest one in the nation. And
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Sold it. It was pretty cool.
Were you done with it? That's why you sold it? Or you
I
ready
was-
to just figure something new?
Burnout.
We were done with it. I called when we decided to move to Northern California. I called my number one competitor and said, "Listen, I'm getting out of the business. You want to buy my business? You can have it." And we negotiated a good deal, 3-year payout, got some cash up front. So, 24 years old, I was almost, I don't want to say retired, but I was able to take the time to figure out what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So, sat down with Greg Macris, and he said, "What do you want?" I said, "Listen, I want to have an unlimited opportunity for income. I don't want to deal with any employees." And as I was dealing with the agents I was coming across,
He's been saying the same. You've been saying the same stuff here. I don't want to deal with employees.
I don't have any employees.
And then you
And
only
he,
come
and he buys an office, has a team.
That's a whole- hey, by the way, today, I didn't tell you guys this.
24 years old.
Today, I just closed escrow on KW Coastal Estates. Sold, done, out. Oh, like,
Drop the thing.
all right. Anyways, so to close out the story, we're gonna ruin like $500,000 worth of equipment. Anyways, to close out the story,
Good thing you sold it for a lot of
what
money.
I realized was, listen, I tell this to agents all the time. Listen, if you're a hard worker, you're personable, you put your client's interest first all the time, you will be incredibly successful in this business. It will follow you. And I never look back. I love this business. I have it with a passion. And what drives me nuts are the agents who get in this business who just are there for the commission. They got the commission breath all day long. So there you go.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got 2 things we can do. We can wrap up. It's been a good discussion.
I think so.
Or I can drag my wife up here and you can ask her questions about me.
No,
put her on the hot seat.
I think we'd like to wrap up so that none of us
We
get
don't
in
need to
trouble.
embarrass you anymore, dude.
All right.
All right, cool.
Good stuff. Well,
Thank you for watching.
In that case, yeah.
There you go.
Good job, right? It was
Hey,
fun.
Congratulations to you guys. Thank you.
Make sure you support Double D's.
Yeah,
Thanks
real
again
quick,
for
real
having
quick
us.
before we end, around the table. Favorite meal to order at Double D's?
Oh, I just had the French dip today.
What's the wrap we get?
Baja wrap.
Baja wrap.
All right.
Pesto pasta.
Pesto pasta. I do the the spinach chicken apple salad.
And if you're looking for good chicken wings,
Best chicken
Fire.
wings in the world.
Oh, speaking of that.
Peace.
Wait, real quick. Do you guys ever watch Hot Takes?
Yes.
Where they interview somebody and do the
sauce.
hot wings? We got to do that.
Oh,
We
I
each
would be dying.
We'll get tofu hot
Yeah.
wings.
I think they put them in a shape of a chicken wing, don't they?
Yeah, and we'll do sauces
vegan
1 through
ones.
10.
There you go.
And then we'll do a half
Oh,
hour of
yeah.
us talking
All right,
about.
there you
All
go.
right, so next live.
Awesome.
The next live we'll do
Done.
that. Fantastic.
A mukbang. That's what it's
A mud what?
A bug bang?
Hey, we're gonna have to cut that out.
Okay.
What's mud bang?
All right, guys. On
That's
that
where you eat
subject,
and talk.
Thank you
see
guys
you next
for
time.
listening and
Bye-bye.
watching. Take care.